live. All right. 7:59 and we're live. So just we'll keep it nice and quiet for a few minutes. You can see the comments, right?
No.
If I put it up like that, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're just waiting. So just stand by. That's a long minute. Just give me 1 second. Hi guys, and welcome to Off the Cuff Paranormal. I'm Daryl.
I'm Mike.
And we'll be with you in just a second because we have 0 guests watching us right now. Ah! I know they got the links, and everybody should be able to find us. At least I hope everybody can find us. I can copy the link and put it in the Facebook page if you want. Oh, there's one. All right, so we'll go back to the beginning of our show. Stand by.
You are traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop is Off the Cuff Paranormal. Join us every Friday at 8 p.m. on the NPI YouTube channel.
All right, and we're here. Hi guys. Again, I'm Daryl, Mike, and welcome to Off the Cuff Paranormal. Let me switch it over to the comments here. We got Kay and Amy on board to start, and hopefully we'll get a few more people on board. Listen, Mike, I'm gonna let you carry this for just a second while I get the oh, never mind. That's all right. But everybody's got the link. They know how to find us on our YouTube. And I don't know if it's streaming on Facebook, guys. So maybe somebody can tell us, is it actually streaming on Facebook? that would be amazingly if that is the case, because it's our first time trying it on Facebook. I have no idea. So let's find out. I'm going to look up right now and I'm going to see if we're live on Facebook. We should be. But let's find out, shall we? Well, apparently, no. I don't know why. Well, anyway, it was supposed to live stream on Facebook. Oh well, I guess it doesn't always happen, does it?
Amy says it appears to be.
It is streaming or no?
That's what Amy says.
Oh, I don't see it. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Huh. Well, there you go.
She said she can see the link.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as everybody can see the link, they can find us. That's awesome. That's exactly what we want. So, welcome to Off the Cuff. So tonight's whole discussion was an idea brought to us from our good friend Kay at Faculty X Investigations up in Kelowna. And she's here with us. Okay. And tonight's topic is going to be, I guess, as she said, conduits. conduits, which I guess can range from, I guess the flows of energy when it comes to the paranormal. So I guess where do we stand right off the top with this whole concept, Mike?
Where do we stand on the idea behind it?
Well, I mean, the whole concept of energy and the flow and you know what we feel might be like. What do you feel might be the more um, is the idea or is the plausibility that the energy does flow through certain things and can be enhanced and all that kind of stuff? Do you figure that that's actually a thing?
Um, yes, I do believe that. It's, I mean, I know when you told me about this subject, I'm going, okay, I don't know a lot about it. And I was like, okay, I do have some theories behind different objects that are considered to be a conduit. Um, I'm skeptical about it, but open-minded to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Sort
guess
of.
that makes sense. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, it. Um, I think you know, if I remember, Kay was getting at first of all. I mean, was getting at the concept of, I guess. Well, let's just start with the basic, yeah, idea. We know as paranormal investigators that there's energies involved, correct?
Right.
So if there's energies involved, I mean, everybody has an energy. I mean, we have an energy. From what I gather, as you know, our if souls are real, our bodies carry energy, right?
Yes.
The electrons and everything in us, we're made of electrons, so we carry energy. When we pass, where do those energies go? Do they just dissipate to the nether?
No, you think our energy has to go somewhere.
Well, you would think so. You would think so. So if these energies exist, um, and after we pass, if we go with the concept that spirits can use these energies to manipulate stuff and do things and move from point A to point B. I was looking earlier today at this whole concept of whether, you know, what would be the most likely, because we have common energy, we have common at least three common really things in the world. We have earth, we have air, and we have water, correct? If earth, air, and water can all transmit different forms of energy, do you think one is more viable for a spirit to transgress from one point to another?
Hmm. Yes.
That's
That's the simple answer. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Okay. I, I mean, you and I both know, and I know a lot of investigators are also in the same thought that water is a very good conduit, or considered to be a good conduit for energy to be used to manifest things, right? Um, I've never heard of like fire, really. I you would not think that fire necessarily, but fire is using other elements in itself, right? Like it's using oxygen or air. So
true.
yeah, I mean, the biggest one for me is water, and it seems like a lot of activity that we know about has usually been centered around locations where there's water. Now, that being said, there is locations like out in the middle of the desert, and there's no water to be found, and there's lots of claims of activity. Like Nevada is a hot spot for stuff. Now, not saying there's not rivers and lakes around, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like it's a dry, arid space, and there's a lot of activity. So maybe that theory is a little bit out the window. But
Well, Kay just said the following.
I gotta lean in close. I'm an old man here.
Is it-
Not as
I
old
was
as you, but
I was reading up on the stone tape theory, where stones, water, etc., can record residual energy to be played back at a later date.
right. Okay.
Um,
I know that a lot of investigators like to use stones or like rocks and gems and that kind of stuff, either in a protection way or also in a way to enhance suspected paranormal activity. I was doing some research, um, trying to educate myself a little bit about that, and it was actually quite enlightening, if you want to call it that, because I really didn't know a lot about the different types of rocks and stuff that are used, or
there's
stones,
lots.
or yeah, there's lots. And I basically I tried to simplify it as much as I could for myself because I could really go down a long rabbit hole, as you know. And it was really, I mean, I have pages that
I
I
have
wrote down,
I have computer pages open.
right? Like, and I brought them with me, and I was just like, I couldn't believe what some of them were used for, and because I don't do that. I don't bring rocks with me or stones with me on investigation. I know others do, and they use them quite regularly. Again, as a protection method, or also as a conduit, trying to help manifest something.
So
I never even thought about doing it.
what did you find out? Like, what was the most astounding thing? Like, I mean, folks, what we're talking about here is crystals. Everybody knows about the crystals that are out there in the world today, whether it's tourmaline, whether it's quartz, whether it's citrine, whether it's jet, yeah, lapis lazuli. There's all kinds of tiger eye, you name it, they all exist out there. Um, a lot of people use them, as Mike said, for a lot of different things. So, I mean, you've done a bit of your research. I mean, so have I. I mean, I got a whole damn page sitting up here on my computer right now that tells me basically every crystal that there is and what it does if I so happen to click on it. So we can touch on a few, but what did you find most astounding and most astonishing, or most I guess eye opening?
Well, I mean, really, a lot of them were ones that were used for protection. Um, and they're just like some of them are very common, like you said, like jet and quartz, right? Like one really common ones, but I don't know how common jet is, but quartz being so common, and uh, I never thought about even really, I never thought about using any of them because I've never really gone into that realm. I've never had to. I've never thought about using a stone or crystal or anything like that. Um, I've never heard of a lot of these either. That's the biggest thing, right? Like there are some of these on here, and I was actually talking. My son was beside me when I was reading some of these, and he's like, he knows of them from Dungeons and Dragons, of all things.
That would make
Um,
sense too.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, and I can't even pronounce it. So if I say it wrong, and again, Kay, I know you commented that I'm really quiet. I don't know why I'm so quiet. I'm using headphones. Maybe that's why. Um, Labradorite.
Labradite.
Yeah, right.
Labradite. Yeah.
Um, and the interesting part about that one was the Inuit people believe that labradite was formed with when the Northern Lights got trapped in ice. Like there's so much deeper meaning to the rocks
Yeah.
and crystals, right? Like it just it was really actually quite interesting to read about it. And again, I'm no expert on any of this. I've never really dug into it before, so I'm really clueless to it.
No, and that's all right. I mean that gives you just an inkling of what's tied to some of these crystals and their meanings. But I mean, yeah, I've always wondered. I mean, labradite. Yeah. Um, like quartz. In a nutshell. Okay, we'll get back to a couple other ones, but quartz in a nutshell. Quartz is a group of minerals that can be found in igneous rocks such as granite, sedimentary rocks like sandstone and shale are formed as a result of magma cooling down slowly, which is vital to the crystallization. The main components of these crystals is silicon and oxygen, which makes up a compound, silicon dioxide. There are some other impurities in these gemstones, such as lithium, of all things. You can run your car. There you go. And and titanium, which really surprised me. I didn't know that. Which results in specimens like amethyst, smoky quartz, citrine, rose quartz, and other numerous crystals and agates. Okay, so there's a basis of what the actual crystal is made out of. Now, to tell you a little bit, just because you touched on the lapis labradorite. Karen found us. Hi, Karen. Hi, Gord. So clear quartz, meaning this, and it's one of the most common ones out there, right? You even said that yourself, Mike. Clear quartz is one of the most common ones out there. The crystal is known as the master healer because its own power to amplify the properties of other crystals. Quartz is said to enhance mindfulness, minimize negative energy, clear the mind and spirit of any clutter, and help bring you to your higher self through its high vibrations, which because of its cleansing abilities, quartz is often used as feng shui, FENGSSHUI, by being placed in an area that needs energy purification. Quartz removes negative energy by absorbing it, and it is suggested that you can clean your crystals regularly to cleanse them of what absorbed energy. It can actually cleanse other crystals. So it's got a lot of properties to it, but how many of these properties are actually, and this is what had me thinking, and when it comes to all these crystals and stuff like that, and we can get into a lot more, whatever you'd like. The property of the crystal does have like a crystalline structure to it, right? So right. Do these crystals actually have these energies? Like, I know they vibrate. Everything does vibrate at a different frequency. Everything vibrates at a different frequency. Glass, metal, stove, wood, doesn't matter what it is. We all vibrate at different energy. Like, I mean, my glasses are probably vibrating so fast, but I'd never see it. So, I mean, it happens. Is that amplifying our own energies that we are putting into these crystals? And that's why if our own energies are out there after we perish or after we move on in life, are they still able to, or are we still able as a spirit able to manipulate these crystals and use those amplified energies?
I have no idea.
It's a tough one.
I don't know. I mean, I'm the whole ideology behind all of this is totally a mystery to me. Like, I have a better chance of understanding like someone speaking Russian to me, I think, at this point. Like, seriously. I really don't, like, I don't know. It sounds logical. Does that make sense? What you're saying does sound logical. I know everything has an energy, a property, and whatever's behind it. And like, why a stone? Why a stone of all things? I don't know. I don't get it.
I mean, so a crystal is not quite a stone. I mean, people look at it is, but people look at a stone and they pick one up off I pick a stone up off the beach and I skip it across across the water. That's my interpretation of a stone. Like, I mean, I can pick a stone up and in the side of the head with somebody. I mean, that's a stone. But a crystal is something different because it's not something. It's very rare that you'll find it just sitting right on top. You do, but it's rare. You have to dig forward, or it has to be brought to the surface in some other way, because it's usually formed either through compression or heat or some other format, right? So I think that's a rather it has its own properties because of how, I guess, it's actually produced. I wish I knew more about them. I really don't. It's just something that you have to kind of go, is it really viable in the field, right? And that's where I guess we come into play. Is it really viable in the field? I mean, I myself have looked at people that bring in protection. So let's just look at protection. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the top stone that you found that you found in the paperwork that supplies protection?
So basically, there was actually 5 top stones that people or investigators use to protect themselves when it comes to paranormal. There's a peridot, and again, if I say these wrong, I'm sorry, but peridot, shungite or shungite, smoky quartz, jet, and then amethyst. Now, I've heard of obviously amethyst, jet, and quartz. The first 2 I've never heard of before, but
what were the first 2 again? Sorry.
Peridot I think it's peridot.
Just a second. I'm actually seeing if I can find that one.
Yeah. So basically, what I have here is it says some mediums and paranormal investigators believe that a ghost's presence can dramatically shift the mood in a room. With peridot around your neck, you might not feel that influence as intensely.
Say that again?
Some mediums and paranormal investigators believe that a ghost's presence can dramatically shift the mood in a room. So if you're wearing the stone peridot around your neck, you might not feel that influence as intensely.
Which brings up another point. Now, before I get into that point, Kay actually wrote that. So Mike, you went to the most amazing stone formation probably in the world, Stonehenge. It's made from Saracen, which is basically quartz.
Yeah. Right? Okay. I did. You're right.
Oh, and Thespian says, welcome Thespian. I know who that is. Says French. Peridot.
Peridot. Okay.
Right. Obsidian, Karen said, is another one. So peridot.
Yeah, black obsidian, I believe, is the most common one.
Yeah. Which I actually have here. Black obsidian. I just had it. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Black obsidian. Now, it brings up another question. Okay, people use these. Sorry, Kay, I've got your. There you go. People bring crystals to investigations to help protect them, or to draw the energy to you. One of the concepts that came to me one day when I was at a place with our technical manager, Mike Burns. We were at a location down in New Westminster. We were downstairs in the building. We had talked about this building not that long ago. It's now one of the pubs down there. And they have a lot of old brick. It is actually built on top of a lot of limestone. Now, that was interesting because we felt an energy by one of the brick faces. I mean, I could put my hand up. I could actually feel the vibration in my hand. That's the kind of energy that was near the brick. And I'm kind of like, this is really weird. So our tech manager walked up with a K2, or it wasn't K2, it was a millimeter. So he walked up with a millimeter and he got close to this source of energy that I thought I felt. And it was instantly gone. There was a hit on the millimeter and it was instantly gone. So we thought, and we come to this conclusion, we were thinking, did the millimeter just negate that energy source because it grounded it out? So my thought is, when it comes to these crystals, whether it's protective or whether it's to enhance the energies, are they acting as the same conduit? They get the energy gets snapped into them, and they negate anything further because it's acting as a ground.
Well, from what I've read, it depends on what the crystal or stone or whatever you want to call it is made out of, because that's going to determine how much energy, or even from what I've read here, what it even will supposedly be doing. So, in theory, yes, your idea does sound logical, but again, I don't know, because it just doesn't, like, there's just so many different things that I've read that like countless stones and countless crystals and countless things that they all do different things. They all seem to have different abilities, so to speak.
Okay.
And like what is it that the brick in the building, what is that necessarily composed of? Like, I don't know what bricks are composed of, but whatever energy is in a brick, how could it be affected by the millimeter?
Well, I'm not saying the brick was affected by the millimeter. I'm just saying there was an energy field at the face of the brick. I didn't say it was.
Right. Right. Well, okay, but say like whatever spirit is there is using the brick in order to enable itself to manifest, right? Is that what you're trying
Or
to
just
say?
standing in front of us,
Right.
between us and the
Right.
brick,
Yeah. Right.
between us and the
So, right. And we know that electricity, so a millimeter is electrical. Whatever the power that's in that, could that affect the spirit too? For sure it could, right? That's just another conduit. Was it
well,
too much energy?
well, it's got a negative and a positive pole to the battery. So could it have grounded out what was there, or at least zapped enough energy that didn't allow whatever was there to completely do what it wanted to do in the first place? And this has brought me to a point at some point in times that when people do bring protective crystals into an investigation, I think you've heard me say it too. I'm like, you know what? Leave them in your car. If you want to put them on after, but leave them in your car. Because my always concern is that if you're trying to protect yourself from something in an investigation, aren't you negating the purpose of being there in the first place? Because
Yeah, that you've mentioned that before, and I kind of have to agree with you. I mean, I know that there's a reason for wanting to protect yourself, but as an investigator, you kind of want things to happen, right?
that was, yeah, that's exactly my theory too. People
Yeah,
wanted it to happen, right?
yeah, yeah,
And that's why I'm kind of like, okay, all right, so do we do this or do we not? Now, whether that is the same concept when you have a crystal that is meant to enhance these powers, it makes me wonder. If you're setting it down, then there's no reason for it to negate that power or that energy. But if you have it wearing you, if you're wearing it,
yeah,
then aren't you acting as a ground? Because after all, if a lightning bolt hits you, where's it going to go? It's going to go right through you to ground,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you're grounded out.
yeah,
So it makes me wonder, uh, really, how active these crystals can be. Now, Holly had I think it was Holly. Somebody had a great little point there. And what she said, for you guys looking at it, said, fun fact, Roman warriors carried hematite in battle for physical protection, and ancient royal tombs are layered with the lapis lazuli
yeah.
for protection in the afterlife.
Yeah, I actually read it's on my list of crystals that are used to uh, conjure up paranormal activity. Actually,
Huh,
like
okay.
instead as opposed to something that protects you, it's actually something that is used to enhance paranormal activity. So what I got here was lapis lazuli was a sacred stone to ancient Egyptians. Has been a beloved ally for thousands of years and often contains traces of pyrite. It's the stone to work with when seeking control over an unruly spirit and activity in a home or environment. Its ability to dominate the immediate surrounding will increase your psychic power and impede the movement of other competing frequencies. This stone also makes a sturdy vessel for spirits of the friendly variety and can be fashioned into statues for this purpose.
Cool. That's interesting. And it actually looks really neat, folks. Lapis lazuli, just for your.
This is really high tech.
Can you see the lapis lazuli?
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah. So that's what lapis lazuli looks like. Kind of cool. Sorry about the bouncing around, guys.
Most cases, most geologists throw out anything metaphysical.
Well,
I guess. I mean, most of them are interested in granite.
So true. So true. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much I actually put in. I mean, okay, I've been one to recommend. I wouldn't say recommend. Let me rephrase that. I've been one to look at places we've been and tell people you might want to try this, this, or this. Or I've had at the time we had I like to call her crystal guru with us. And she would recommend certain crystals and stuff to people. And, you know, is it more, I've always wondered, I mean, although these things have their inner constructions and how they're made are usually rather unique, their properties are given to them naturally, but are they actually as like we've given them, like man has given them the ideas of how they work, of what they supposedly do for people, right? And that's why I'm kind of wondering, is it the rock or is it the person holding the rock that has the ability to enhance what's going on or negate what's going on? It has nothing to do with the crystal itself.
That makes complete sense. I mean, who's spoken to a spirit and said, basically given a list like mine, and said, okay, this is what this gem does, this is what this one does, this is what this one does. No one's done that, right? This is all a belief system, right? You kind of get a group of like a community of people that kind of go, okay, well, we have this rock and we think it does this, but there's no proof to back any of it up at all, from my understanding. It's all kind of, it's suggested. It's all a suggestion.
Well, and it's I think it's the power of the mind that people put forth, that helps give them their powers. I mean, I'm not saying that they can't amplify things. I mean, just like any crystal, you put a certain light through a certain prism in a certain aspect, and what do you get? You put it through a magnifying glass, you've narrowed the light down to a point where it can burn. I mean, so it can do amazing things.
Yeah.
But in its own right, if you sat it on a table, would it make a difference? And that's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. I mean, at least with when you do what you're saying, like you take a put light through it and it catches fire to something, there's proof that it's doing something, right? Physical proof, you can see it. There's no physical proof behind any of this. I mean, people are going to say, you know, I was in front of a spirit and I had a piece of quartz with me and the spirit disappeared. Well, then now they think that's proof that the quartz helped protect them from that spirit.
That's part of it. Now, thespians too said it's not new. They have been used for many thousands of years. Yes, they've been used for many. Oops, sorry about that. They've been used for many thousands of years. Absolutely, 100% agreed. I mean, that's obvious. They've been around, but it doesn't give you an absolute as to whether they have their power or whether it's done through the person holding the stone, the crystal, etc., etc.
No.
And Kay nailed it right there.
Yeah, yeah. And it's almost like what's it's technically, I guess it's kind of like a superstition, right? Like I'm obviously not big on the stones and crystals and gems and all that. But I think I've told you this before. Whenever I travel anywhere, I go on an airplane and I have to have a book with me. It's the intent. I have this book, I am safe, right? I don't necessarily read the book, but I bring a book with me. It doesn't have to be the same book, just a book.
Mm-hmm.
That, in a way, in a sense, is my piece of quartz. It's protecting me. Nothing's happened since I brought a book with me on an airplane, right?
Can I
So
have
it's
your book?
all like what kind of book? I don't
No, I said, can I have your book? I'm going on an airplane soon. So
no.
yeah.
Yeah, and like even adding another element to that is I also have used the same bookmark for the past, oh God, 15 years, right? It's all the intent. If you want to believe that these rocks, these stones are protecting you, great. I don't believe that. I have no reason to believe it. I have no reason to believe that the book is going to stop an airplane from crashing either. But it's all a belief. It's the intent. It's wanting to believe it.
So
I
you're
guess is really
basically
what
saying
that,
the crystals don't not necessarily have any more power than a lucky rabbit's foot.
that's how I see it. And I know that people have been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. I get that. Just I don't see it.
Well, that's being said, it's just almost said that it's a medium. It's a medium, just like a mirror would be considered a medium, a water would be considered a medium. Sand is just another form of a medium. Yes, that's true. But again, sticking my hand in the sand and saying, hey, affect that ant 20 feet away or 10 feet away, let alone a couple of inches away, is not necessarily going to happen.
No.
I know that's a kind of a really bleak or abstract version, but you get my point. I mean, I think I would. I've carried crystals. Okay, I'll admit I've carried crystals. Right? Why? Because I think they make me feel like I have something that might be assisting my ability every once in a while. Do I carry protectives? No. Karen said Gord completely agrees with you, Mike.
Thanks, Gord.
But I think all in all, I think that the concept of the crystals is I would like to see a lot more. Like there's a lot of stuff to read up on them, and you said you got 2 pages of stuff. There's so many things to read up on them. The I think the way they're made and their structures and how they relate to themselves and other things, I think it's fantastic. And I think the mythological side of things, as you said, is huge. I think it's great. I think it's really cool to read. If that helps people, it helps people.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like I mean, who are we to say? Really, we're not anybody to say, but no one's really to say. It's almost like a religion, if you will. Like after reading about so much of these things, and people really, pardon me, put a lot of uh, belief and thought into all of this. It's what is it? Oh, going down further down the rabbit hole. Do you think limestone can record events and play it back? And does running water amplify paranormal activity? Well, I am a believer of the running water theory. Yes, it's just because most of our investigations are close to water, though. That's really my primary reason for that. But limestone, I didn't really dig too deeply into limestone, so I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
I can find out about limestone if you give me a minute here, folks.
Yeah, because limestone, it was not on my list of stones. I had stones that are I could just ramble off the ones that I found that are used for summoning spirits would be, again, labradite, smoky quartz, moldavite, selenite, lapis lazuli, jasper, and tourmaline. Those are the ones that came up as the highest commonly used ones for summoning.
All right, so now you guys have a list for that. Limestone, sedimentary rock composed mainly of calcium carbonate, CaCO3, usually in the form of calcite or oh my God, aragonite.
Argonite, sounds right.
It may contain considerable amounts of magnesium, carbonate, dolomite, as well. Minor constituents also commonly present include clay, iron, carbonate, feldspar, pyrite, and quartz. Most limestones have a granular texture. They're consistent. Holy crap. Trying to read these words, man. I'm reading Wikipedia. I'm not a Wikipedia star, I can tell you that right now. They range, well, that's just size. Anyway, does it have, limestone has two origins, biogeneric precipitation from seawater, the primary agents being lime secreting organisms, and from holy Jesus, AIDS peepers, foraminifera.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it doesn't say that on Wikipedia, that part there.
Oh, okay, so limestone has long fascinated Earth scientists because of its rich fossil content. Much knowledge of the Earth's chronology and development has been derived from the study of fossils embedded in limestone. Oh, let's see here. Oh, wow.
So what you're saying, Daryl, is it's composed of a lot of different things that are used in not only protection but also in the ability to summon spirits.
Well,
like
not just that, but it's the building material. There's a lot of limestone that was used in building materials, even today, but mostly in the past. Not so much today, but a lot of limestone was used. And you know, the principles that the limestone is more like a crystal than it is just a basic dirt and earth, might lead to why places that have limestone might be more inclined to be more active than not, or at least be a conduit for that activity than not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, based on everything else, right? It's another plausible idea for sure.
And since it has seawater in it, there's your water. There's your water connection.
One more thing that I kind of had forgotten about when I was doing my research. Salt. Obviously used very commonly in the paranormal. People may not really think of it as a crystal, but it comes from the earth, right? Obviously, as we know, salt is often used by ghost hunters or investigators to repel ghosts, repel demons, hellhounds, and other supernatural beings, along with being used as a condiment.
Well, I've watched enough of Sam and Dean to know what salt can be used for. The Winchesters. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Salt. I mean, I think the concept of salt being able to ward off evil. I don't know. I mean, does it supposedly leave a bad taste? I mean, I know I wouldn't want to suck it up. It's got this.
I don't know. I mean, the thought of it is interesting. Like, why again? Like like I'm still trying to understand the concept behind why crystal is going to be used to protect or summon. Why salt of all things, right? Like I'm baffled by it. I don't know. I've never laid out salt and said, you know, stay back, demon. Like I've never done that.
But the question is, if you ever ran into something that terrifying, would you attempt it?
Um, Not initially, probably not. If I ran anything that terrifying, I'd probably call you guys. I mean, call the team in and say, "Okay, guys, we got something here." I'm not gonna go up and grab my box of salt first.
Let me pull out my salt, folks. Just a second.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go. My wife's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "You're gonna vacuum that up after, right?"
Absolutely. Oh my God. No, Kay had said earlier, she
Yes,
said,
I saw that. I saw that comment by Kay. Yes, go ahead and read it.
uh, uh, hang on a second. Sorry, I went too far. She goes, I picked up a rail spike a few weeks ago off the Kettle Valley Railway. Does that iron spike hold energy from the man who nailed it in place? That's being said, yes, Kate, possible. So for those sensitive enough to pick up on it, I guess that's plausible. I mean,
I
okay, so
mean,
here's something I have to admit. I did, and I know you know that I'm a bit of a sensitive, et
sure.
cetera, et cetera. We were at an investigation over on the island one time. I went over there with, I do believe, Nikki and Ken, actually. I don't think Holly could make that one, if I remember correctly. And a lady gave us a ring. She handed me a ring, and I picked up off the ring. Now, that has both metal in it. I do believe it was gold, might have been silver, and it had a stone in it. And I did manage to pick something up which was relevant for the lady. It was accurate. Now, did I pick up off the lady? Did I pick up off the stone, or did I pick up the fact that I was standing next to her and she already knew? Is that an indication that these crystals, metals, do hold it? I don't know, Kay. I don't know. I think anything. I think we can probably put our energies into anything, really. I think that energies can stay when we pass. I know it kind of gets off the track of the crystals, but I think the energies can definitely stay. I mean, we've talked about embedding energies before, have we not, Mike?
About which, sorry?
We've talked about embedding energies before.
Well, yes, we've talked about how we both believe that things like wood and stuff can embed your energy probably easier than other things, but we kind of touched on it anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I think that if we go along the concept of everything having an energy, whether it be plant, whether it be inanimate objects, glass, metal, wood, if anything can hold energy, then maybe just like those and crystals and other things, those spirits out there can manipulate said things and cause whatever they hope to cause to happen. I mean, if we look at like and I think you mentioned before, Mike, haunted dolls, haunted pictures, I mean, haunted mirrors. It's the same concept, I would think, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, my son made a really good point, touching on mirrors. Um, so we understand that, for example, werewolves and like not only werewolves but vampires and stuff. The silver basically is a deterrent for them, right? Like they just why is it that a vampire looks in a mirror and can't see his reflection because it's not backed with silver or something like that. Like he said, common mirrors are not like mirrors back in the day. So there's you need if you're going to do anything like that, like you have to use a mirror that's from before they had current mirrors. That doesn't, I know I'm trying to figure out exactly the wording that he used, but um, point being, everything is so different now. Like it's not the same now as it used to be. Does that make? Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, the mirrors way back then, Mike, had copper on the backing. And
Right.
that's why in old mirrors you used to see you get a glimpse of a greenish color coming through the glass. That was the copper oxidizing on the backside of the mirror. Actually,
Yeah.
there's a good example of that right down in Port Moody at the train station, one of the train cars. You can see it. It's really kind of cool. The silver doesn't do the same thing.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Kay said, so I use psychometry. Yeah, I guess I did. Okay, I guess I did. I don't think about it as such, but yeah, I guess I did with the ring. Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to bring up one thing that is like huge that a lot of people don't think of when we're talking about crystals. Okay, crystal balls.
Oh, excuse me. I had to wait a minute. I'm thinking. Okay, wait a minute. Is Mike gonna pick up some crystal balls?
Oh my god.
Don't drop your balls, Mike. Whatever you do, don't.
No. I mean, again, you talk about like fortune tellers using crystal balls, and they're made out of glass and quartz, right? And do you believe that crystal balls can really see to the past or see to the future? Or is that just the person that is using the crystal ball, or is it all just a big hoax?
That's a hard one, Mike. I mean, honestly, if you look at the concept of the idea of crystal, actually a crystal structure working that way, then the ball could be just enhancing the ability of said person using it. If that's the case and they're actually getting information without the person sitting across from them giving them any hints, then maybe that might be a legit thing. But I think somebody can do that with or without a crystal ball. If it assists them, so be it. But I think for the most part, the reality of somebody using a crystal ball in a little store on the corner of a dark street somewhere in the middle of downtown London. I mean, I wouldn't be spending my money.
No. I'm with you on that. It was one where it came up in my list, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna add this to my list because I'm a big skeptic when it comes to that kind of stuff. I'm really one of those people where I need a lot of proof, and I just don't have anything to back any of it up. Any of it, any of these stones and stuff. Like I don't break stones. I don't think crystals. I don't do any of that. Yeah, like I think it was mentioned in the comments. It's all a matter of intent and belief, and if that's what you want to believe, then that's what you want to believe. But not me. I'm not a subscriber.
Well, maybe sometimes, folks, somebody might actually give you something a little bit more to think about in regards to that, Mike. It's hard to say. I mean, I've run into things that I would have to question that way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say my beliefs is 100%. I would say I'm on that border between. I wouldn't say I'm right on the border. I'm kind of like, here's the border, and I'm up here on the side that I really don't buy that it's just the crystal. But I'm also on the border that maybe it does enhance and can enhance certain things. I'm just not sure how it does that. I mean, people can try to explain it all they want, but I don't think anybody really truly knows. It's just if there's a connection done between somebody in the living and somebody in the deceased, then that connection is going to happen no matter what. That's my thought about it.
And that brings me up to my last one, which was, and it has absolutely nothing to do with crystals, but we're on the ideology here behind summoning and using things as a conduit and so on. Ouija boards, obviously very common. I know, right? But I had to put it on the list because I'm in the same belief, and I've never used one, but I'm in the same belief, like they're lumped in with all the crystals and gems and stones. There's, I don't know. I know we have Karen. Karen is in the group, and she's obviously used one and believes in it. I don't, because I can't say I don't. I've never used one, so I need proof.
I think as far as the Ouija board goes, I've had my experience with it. I think it's the person making it move than any spirit. If you go with the concept that they use you to move it, maybe. What I experienced was rather unique, but then again, I was coming off using a lot of strange substances at the time. So I can't say that wasn't part of it, because it probably was. Did I have some form of spiritual awakening at that time from my concept of it? Yes. Does that mean there's any validity to it? I don't know. I don't think there's. I still think it's just a board. I think you can have a board sitting in your closet for years and not experience a damn thing with it. It's what people do with it through themselves that might make that connection. I don't think things can get trapped in the board. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, really, they sell it at Toys R Us and Walmart. Like, I don't know. It's a game. It's a board game. It's to have fun. I don't know. It just seems too hokey. I, I I'm willing to try it for Karen's sake. I know she's invited me in the past, and I am willing to try it. I don't think it's any different than using a voice recorder to try to summon someone to talk to us. I see it kind of as the same idea, but I just don't see it actually working. That's just me.
There you go, folks. There's our thoughts on crystals, conduits, Ouija boards, and I mean, I guess there's a lot of other things that have that you can go into. We've talked about a lot tonight, and it's really hard to touch on everything because neither, as Mike said, he's not very knowledgeable in this, and honestly, neither am I. So maybe one day we will have to find somebody that has a lot more knowledge in this field and have them on as a guest, and we'll talk more about this and get their aspects of it. I think it's that's being said. Some would say that talking to ghosts is hokey. Well, we all do.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. We are hokey people.
But that's it. That's what we are. But you know what, guys? We're going to have to look into this again. But we've been given a list. We've been given a list by somebody else recently, our dear friend Amy, well, that list includes a lot of things that we can have in upcoming shows, right, Mike?
Yeah, Amy sent a great, huge, honking long list. What is it saying in the last comment here? Any crystal stone with force will protect you. Okay, I'm with you on that one. Like I said, I got pages of stones. If anyone wants, here, there we go. Pages of stones and crystals that they can go and pick up at their local store, so they can throw them at people.
And for those interested, well, we got you on here. All you have to do is look up your local metaphysical store, and they'll gladly help you out with all these different crystals and what they can do. So
yeah, I'm you know, I've seen the pictures of them, like that one that you brought up on your screen there. What was it again? Which one was that?
Lapis lazuli.
Yeah, that looks really cool. And I mean, just as an admirer of like the colors and stuff, and like I've gone into some of these stores and looked at the rocks and gems and stuff, and I'm like, these all look amazing, right? For that simple like attraction to them, they look cool. I'd love to have some of them, but I'm not bringing any on investigation, and I don't in that purpose. I don't see why I would, but anyways.
Well, and there you go, folks. On that note, we are pretty well right at the end of the show. So we'd like to thank you all for coming along, joining myself, Daryl, and
Mike.
on Off the Cuff Paranormal, and we'll see you next Friday with a new and who knows where it's going or what rabbit hole it's going down kind of show. So see y'all next Friday. We'll talk to y'all later. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.